Hello everyone, and welcome to the 14th episode of the Little Thespian podcast. On today's episode, we talk to the amazingly talented, gifted actress, singer, songwriter herself, Erin Walsh, all the way from Vancouver, Canada. So, without further ado, let's hop into the 14th episode of the Little Thespian podcast. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 14th episode of the Little Thespian podcast. On today's episode, we talk to the amazingly talented, gifted actress, singer, songwriter herself, Erin Walsh, all the way from Vancouver, Canada. How are you, Erin?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Considering everything that's been happening, it's it's crazy, guys. And so before we hop in with Erin, I'm just going to do a little thing that I always do now, it seems, because COVID's still a thing, guys. So wear your mask, as I say in everyone. Also, hand sanitizer is your best friend. Wash your hands, though. Because I don't want to stay in red zone, guys. And I hope you guys don't either. So do those. Thanks. Also, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So show your support by wearing pink, like I did in the last episode. I'm not going to keep wearing pink. I mean, I can. Let me know what you guys think down below. And also tomorrow, or when this will be uploaded on October 10th, it is Mental Health Day. So show your awareness towards that. So, hello guys, and welcome to episode 14 with Erin Walsh. How are you? I know you're well, but let's hop into the first question, why don't we?
Cool.
So, the first question would be that of, how exactly did you get into theater? What is your story?
So I started off in elementary school doing little musicals that were not too good, but the music teacher wanted to do them, so we did them. And I always used to sing as a kid, so I was always a kind of performance artist kind of person. I was very into like the artsy stuff, not interested in anything else. And then I went to a high school where there was a specific like acting program between the grade 9 and grade 11. And I was like, I know I want to do this. So I did the plays and the musicals in high school, and I just really couldn't see myself doing anything else. Like, I was in the enriched programs for the first 3 years, and I was like, mic drop, don't want to do that, going away from that. My dad liked to think that I closed some windows, but I think at this point he's realized that I'm pretty deep in the performance art area. So yeah, everything just kind of came in with that, and then went to college with you in the theater program, and just no turning back. Just love it.
That's great. I was talking to Pat about this too. It's either like you start at a random age where you're like starting at like 4 and then like you continue, or it sparks. And I feel like you kind of just knew that's what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's
it's great.
I questioned for 2 seconds being a veterinarian, and then I went to the school guidance counselor. I was like, what do I do? And he knew me at that point well enough to be like, Erin, you'd be stupid not to go into theater. Like, come on. So yeah.
I never knew that. That's a little fun tidbit. Like, I mean, I know like some families and some people believe that acting is not really a job, which I can see why they think that because it's not very, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's crazy to me that like it started right at the beginning for you. Because I know me, I was a jock at the beginning.
Oh,
I didn't know
really?
what the hell I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, now people are probably saying like, okay, Matthew, you probably came out of the womb and you knew you wanted to do this.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I was a jock at the beginning. I was doing wrestling, I was doing soccer, I
yeah.
was doing
Hmm.
all sorts of sports, and then I'm like,
Right.
maybe not. So, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Vet.
I love
Oh,
animals, so I was just like, maybe being a vet, but I think that was just me having that moment of like, am I crazy for going down this path because it's a hard path to go down? And then I was like, no, most paths are hard to go down. Let's do it. So,
I love
yeah.
that last part. And I'm going to actually go off of that. So, I usually ask everyone on this, do you have any words of wisdom for people that might want to jump in, either to theater or singing? Because I know you are really into singing, and we're going to get to that, I promise.
I would just say if you really want it, you really got to go for it. You really just got to commit yourself. And if it's something, if you feel in any shape, way, or form that you are hesitant about, if it's such a tricky world that you really have to just dive right in. And especially with music and theater and everything, meeting people is so important, and networking and knowing people and getting your name out there and being like really active on social media and everything like that is so important. So I would just say if you love it, if it's your dream, you got to freaking bust your booty and just do it, cuz it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding in the end. And you'll have moments of like, what the heck did I get myself into? But if you really love it, it's so worth it.
I can't add to that. That was perfect. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a very competitive business,
Yes.
but you got to keep your head up high and continue going.
Mm-hmm.
If it's what you love. And I guess to go off of that also, um, you went from college straight to Vancouver Film School. So, how has that been? Because I know moving from theater onto film, for us, we only had a couple of classes during our time at Abbott. So, how has it been diving into a whole new medium and a whole new school?
I love it. I think it's really interesting, especially at VFS, because I feel like at Abbott, the couple classes that we had, it was kind of like drop what you know, start from scratch, like internalize everything. But at VFS, they really make it important to merge the two. Like theater training is important in acting, and it comes into play in so many famous actors and actresses. Like they use it in some of the best movies, and it definitely is a lot more internalized. But you can still. It's better. What I've learned mostly, it's better to start at the top and go to the bottom than start at the bottom and go to the top. If that makes any sense. Like my favorite thing that I've learned at VFS for TV and film is internalizing. Because I feel like as theater actors, we have to express everything. And like the people in the back of the audience have to see what you're emoting and what you're feeling and stuff like that. But the amazing thing about TV and film is how you can internalize all that and just really feel it and really think it, and the camera will pick up everything. And I actually love it. At first it was really scary. It's really scary going from theater to film because like I said, in theater you're not afraid to just put it all out on the line, but it can feel uncomfortable almost trying to feel it all inside, and then knowing the camera is like right there, and you feel very very vulnerable, a lot more vulnerable I find than on stage. But after a while, like after doing it for a couple months now, I love it. I love being able to just internalize it all. So it was a big transition at first, but once you get into it, I love it. I love both, you know. But the move was hard. It's really far. I love my family and my friends and everyone. But like I said, sometimes you gotta just take the big jumps. And if you feel it, it'll be a good move for you, then sometimes you just gotta take that jump. So it's been a good experience with a couple bumps because of COVID, but I'm happy to be back and continuing.
Well, it's good too because I know, like with you now, you're still doing stuff during this time, which is good because I know a lot of actors aren't, right?
Yeah.
So studying film now, and doing, like you said, I really like that, going from the top down, you know what I mean? Changing, not changing acting per se, but doing a whole new medium. It's something that I feel like a lot of actors do love both, but it
Hmm.
seems more that being like that exposed, like you said, that close with the camera seems, yeah, at times very vulnerable.
Yes, and it's
Um,
also it can be so weird. Like at first, having cameras around and you've got like someone who's on the boom and like someone doing the slate and the director's like watching a TV. It can feel like you're out of that world that you should be in the scene. But after doing it like for a while, you just forget it's all there, and it's so like it's so magical. Like as cheesy as that sounds, like it's so cool.
I remember being on set because I was in August. I did my first film,
Hmm.
and I remember like it just felt weird for me to have like a mic pack on me, and you have the
Yeah.
boom over me, and like you literally you have, it's just me and one other person in one of the scenes, and I'm like, okay, cool. But then it's true, you have that huge camera because the cameras are never small.
No, they're like
The cameras
big
are
boys.
huge,
Yeah.
and like you want to stay connected into the scene, but it's true, because on stage you have a huge place to play, and there's always the amazing costume, the amazing design, you're fully invested, right?
Yeah.
And then you still have that with film, you do have costumes and stuff like that, but it's still different to hop into that whole world, and see exactly what will later be on camera. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, just it's so different, but it's so rewarding as well. For
Yeah,
sure.
because like especially to add on to that, like on stage, the audience is with you in that world. Like you're in that world, you're fully immersed. Like yes, you've got the things going on in the wings, but like the audience is with you. Whereas your audience is a crew who's not with you, they're looking at you. And the director and the creative team might be with you, but for the most part, you just got a bunch of people who are trying to do their jobs looking at you. So it can be a little more challenging to like really stay in it and really give all to being that character and connecting with your partner. But like I said, after doing it like so many times, it feels so cool to just be able to whoosh it all out and still stay in it.
So I guess to shift gears,
Mhm.
off of film, and let's jump into some singing. So, um, how long have you been singing? A lot of people want to know, how exactly did singing become something that you've been so invested in?
I've been singing since I can remember. Literally since I was a little baby. Um, my mom, my mom likes to sing around the house. But she's not like a singer. She's just like a very musical person. So she always had music playing. My dad is a singer. My dad sings and plays guitar. So I guess I was just kind of musically influenced from birth. Um, so it just became something I love doing. And for a while, I was just singing covers, like other people's music all the time. And then as I've gotten older and I started to write and like actually experience things, it became such a bigger passion. Like I would rather listen to something like someone else's music that I connect to personally than like a fun song. Obviously, you know, we all have our club moments, whatever, dancing to fun music, but I love good artists who can tell us such a good story through a song. And so it kind of shifted at some point for me to like a more personal view on it, and that's why I love doing it and listening to music.
Well, I can tell you that I've been listening to your music in a lot because of us doing this.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you're welcome. I mean, I'm always supportive with your music because your music is incredible, and you guys need to check it down below. Spotify and her SoundCloud will be down below. But yeah, I mean, you can really tell a story, whether it be in theater and in singing. So you should be very proud.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah. So to go off of that, you had an album that came out. How was it making an album? Because that doesn't always happen for artists. You know, they have like one song, they would do a couple of songs, but to do a whole album, how was that?
I was super hesitant about it, to be honest. And I only released it when I got here. But most of the songs on the album were on my SoundCloud, because I started off on SoundCloud. But it's interesting because if you go listen to my SoundCloud and then you listen to the versions on the album, they're actually different because I re-recorded everything. But it was hard. Like I wasn't sure that I wanted to release an album per se. I like to say it's more of like an EP acoustic album. It was just somewhere that I wanted to put all of the more polished versions of my songs and a couple new ones too. But I really just jumped the gun. People are like, did you go in a studio? Like, who produced your music? I'm like, I just recorded all my music in my room with this mic. And I actually used Audacity. I recently got new software and new equipment to up my music, but I just used Audacity and this mic. And I'm pretty proud of it. But now I find the hardest part about releasing an album is writing and making more music that tops that. Like that's the part that I'm struggling with the most. But it was very liberating, like releasing that album, to be honest, because it was always an idea I had in the back of my head. And at one point I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do it. Just going to do it. Just do it. And I just did it. And it's been really great. I know a lot of people who tell me like they put my music on their sleep playlists or like their studying playlists and stuff like that. And that just makes me so happy because I don't know, that's what I write my music for. If you want to be in your feels or go to sleep or study or whatever. So it's been cool. I really don't regret it. Like just jumping the gun.
Good. Good. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like I was talking to Mia about this last episode. Sometimes you just get like bit by the bug. I was saying to her about writing, but even with music, you know what I mean? There is something that you do one and then you want to continue doing, you know what I mean? And that happens with all forms of art, I think, but definitely singing. I can see why you would want to top the first album, you know what I mean? But I'm really looking forward to seeing what's happening next. And I'm glad you're writing because yeah, it's you guys need to go check it out. Believe me, I can only say so much. You guys need to go and check it out down below.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll hop back into theater. We'll go through all of them. So next, I want to talk about Pride and Prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
So we the last show you did was Pride and Prejudice at John Abbott. How was taking on Jane Austen's big Pride and Prejudice and being the main character in Pride and Prejudice? I have a funny feeling by how you're looking now that it seemed kind of stressful. But how was it?
Oh, it was lovely. To be honest, obviously, you know, as you grow as an actor, you look back at things that you've done and you're like, gosh, I wish I would have done this differently or just gone for it at this part. But it was really lovely. I was really stressed out at first because it's such an iconic like novel, and the adaptation in the play, it's so iconic and there's such iconic characters, and everyone around the department was like, oh, you were made for this role. And I was like, but what if I'm not? But everybody has those doubts. Obviously, you can be your own worst critic, but it was so lovely. And obviously, playing my counterpart, Mr. Darcy, we were already friends, really close friends. And so it was really nice to explore the dynamics with somebody that, like, you know, you already kind of have chemistry with on a friendship level. But she's such a lovely character. She just in such a like a patriarchal time where women really their job was to marry a man and that was it. She is such a she was so strong and so daring and like was not about to change for anyone, but she still has that softness to her of wanting true love. So it was so complex to play sometimes, and I did get frustrated in the emotions that she was feeling. But it was a very lovely experience.
That's good though. I mean, I remember watching it. I saw it twice, and it was so different to me from Dr. Faustus. Obviously, I knew going in because obviously we need to read both and we need
Mm-hmm.
to, but just how royal it was and how um, the comedy in it just had me dying of laughter too. Even though there was times where it was very dramatic and it felt very lovely, I guess you can say. It was very um, admirable, I guess would be the word. But
Mm-hmm.
it was incredible, and I really liked the chemistry really came off between you and Sam. It
Mm-hmm.
really did. And yeah, I think it was a very good production, and I feel like every production at Abbott though.
Oh my
Every
gosh, yeah.
production at Abbott.
I don't regret, like, I love being in the theater program. I mean, it's such a shame right now because of COVID that so many people have missed out on doing their final productions. I honestly feel for them because the productions that we did were incredible, were amazing, such great experiences. And people missing out on that now is so unfortunate. And I know, like, you were just about to perform Mary Poppins and then just out the window. But like Abbott really steps up the game with their productions,
It,
100%.
it floors me, and I put them over all the time on the podcast because I mean I it changed my life. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but so let's hop into the another role that you hopped into with Andy Cook, and we're going to keep saying Andy Cook's name because Andy Cook's amazing.
Andy
Um,
good.
Septimus Hodge in Arcadia. So how was because you played a very manly role in
Yes.
Arcadia and then changed completely in Pride and Prejudice. So
Yes.
how was playing Septimus in
I loved playing Septimus. I'm just gonna say that right now. I know like the play is a super complex play and it's more like you really have to be paying attention when you watch that play. So I understand people who were saying that they were falling asleep during it, but like I said I didn't blame them. If I was sitting there, I would be invested, but I would maybe fall asleep. But being a part of it was amazing. Like I was talking to my family about the role because they were like, "What do you mean you're playing a dude?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I am having the best time playing a dude because there's something so like empowering as a woman to be able to play a man. Like I'm not saying that genders, all that stuff. I'm just saying tapping into the more masculine side of myself was great because there are moments that I have where I'm like, I don't want to be a girly girl. Like I don't I don't want to, you know, do my hair all night, do my makeup. I want to be a guy. Like that's I want to wear a big t-shirt and loose pants and just hang out. And I think that's totally valid. But I think it's really cool too because in history in Shakespeare men played women. And so I really love that Andy decided for the women to play men because you really don't see that as often. Nowadays I feel like gender swapping and stuff is happening more and more, but in terms of like literally putting a woman in a men's costume doesn't happen all that much. So I thought that was really cool. And just like having so much presence on stage and just really becoming someone else. Amazing. I loved it. I had people in the audience tell me they were confused because I was so convincing as a dude that they were like attracted to me as a dude, but I'm actually a woman. And I was like, yes. So it was a really great experience. But I did have trouble going into Pride and Prejudice because it's the same time period. And I was practicing my British accent. I was doing a British accent as a dude for like a month. And then they're like, okay, but you got to do a British accent as a woman. So there were times during rehearsals for Pride and Prejudice where Tracy Lee, the director, lovely director, would be like, Erin, you're slipping into Septimus. And I'm like, Frig, like, I'm sorry. I don't even know because I think that that's my British accent, you know? So it was hard, but with rehearsal, obviously, you get there.
That must have been so fulfilling. It's true. In regards to what Andy did for Arcadia, it sadly doesn't happen often, but I'm glad he did. I
Yes.
loved Arcadia. I really love the type of plays that you really need to think.
Yeah.
And Arcadia is definitely one of them, like you said.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, Arcadia was great to see you guys perform in something that's completely different than you probably will ever play again.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know
For
what I mean?
sure.
Like, unfortunately, like I just said, it doesn't happen often where girls play guys, but
No.
it's so it was very awesome to see you guys fully just invest into this whole different world in Arcadia. But yeah, I really liked Septimus. And
I miss him.
hey, maybe you'll get to play it again. Maybe contact Andy. Maybe after COVID.
Andy.
You know, it's a possibility.
Sort it
Uh,
out.
but yeah, I really cannot wait to see what Jack Theater does next, because
Yeah.
after this COVID thing, I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's very different now, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Talking about the future, so Mia actually from last episode had a question, and I thought I'd shout her out again because she had a question for you in regards to what are your plans and goals for the future.
Oh, I love her. She's so
I
supportive
know,
of my music.
Mia's
She
amazing. I love Mia.
she's like my top listener on SoundCloud all the time, and I love it. Um, okay, plans and goals for the future. Well, I would like to stay in Vancouver, because I've just heard so many things about the opportunities here in acting. I want to do more music like on the side when COVID is done, maybe performing like some gigs and stuff like that on the side. Um, Ideally in the future, I'd love to be able to do both. Like I'd love to really like kick off a music career and be doing some acting stuff. But right now I'm just focusing mostly on the acting and doing music more as a side. So yeah, I would like to stay in Vancouver, but I'm not sure. I'm between Vancouver and Toronto just because of the opportunities. But Toronto is looking real nice because it's closer to my family, but we'll see. I do want to continue doing theater, like, but hopefully semi-professional or professional gigs. Because like after Abbott, I did one semi-professional gig. I did Rocky, which was amazing, but and it was a great experience, but it was more so for the experience and helping out mainline and being a part of an amazing musical. But in the future, you know, like you gotta eat. So I would love to do more professional theater or movies and TV and commercials, all that stuff. That's what I'm planning on in my future. We'll see, because I'm gonna be real, student debt is a thing. But I think if you really grind and hustle, you can do whatever, not do whatever you want, but get there, you know? So that's kind of my goals for the future. Either here or Toronto, keep doing what I'm doing, finish school, and then work. So, yeah.
That sounds great. I mean, I really hope for you that you could be as close as you can be to your family, if because I know it must be weird, especially during this time,
Oh my
not being able to
gosh.
see them. You know what I mean?
I literally
Um,
texted my dad the other day and I was like, "Hi, I miss you." And I'm a very independent person from my family, but I also am dependent on my family, if that makes any sense. So I, and my dad understands that. So sometimes when we text, it's very like, "Hi, how's it going?" Da, da, da. It's not very sentimental. It's like, "I miss you, I love you," but but I was like, "Hi, I miss you," and he was like, "Hi, I miss you too." And I think that's like one of the first times that it's just been like that sentimental over text. And I think that's a good like banner of how I'm feeling about being alone here during COVID. But I have met some really amazing people here who have been like my family here. So yeah, it's hard with COVID.
I'm glad Vancouver has been very nice to you, though, and I cannot wait to see what your future holds. Um, we're actually going to jump into Rocky Horror Picture Show now about Mainline. Um, so, how was doing Rocky Horror at Mainline, just in general, because Rocky Horror is such a cult classic, to put
Yes.
it lightly. So, how was taking such an iconic musical and putting it out on Mainline?
It was amazing. I One of my favorite experiences I've ever done was Rocky. Playing Magenta was so weird, but so great. I could just be the weirdest, craziest, wackiest like version of myself and still make it into a character. It was also one of the first musicals that I've ever done, like big musicals. So singing and dancing for 2 hours straight was exhausting, but like I said, so worth it. Amazing. Sweating down my face, all of us sweating for 2 hours, but it was so phenomenal. And Mainline is just amazing. I love Mainline and all the people who work at Mainline, and like they just like there's a reason why they're one of the most known independent theaters in Montreal. They're phenomenal. And the shows and everything they do for the Fringe and all that stuff is great. And that's why I really like doing Rocky. I'm going to be honest, like you don't really get paid for it, but you are helping Mainline stay and like helping them be who they are, because it's like such a big fundraiser as well for the Mainline. And like I said, I met some amazing people, so many amazing people who are in the theater community in Montreal. And just there's so many talented people in Montreal. It's insane. And it was so much fun. Like I said, it's during Halloween and it runs 2 weeks before Halloween, week 2, and it's just amazing. And the audience is great. Such a good experience. It was so much fun. I was shocked when I got the role, like straight out of Abbott. They gave me the role and I was like, "Are you sure?" And I showed up to the first read through and I was like, "They're gonna tell me they have the wrong person." I was like, "They're gonna tell me this was a mistake and that they didn't actually mean to email me." But they did. And it was very fun and very worth it. And everyone was amazing.
I don't think they made a mistake. I watched. I remember coming, and I remember seeing both you and Alexa, and I was floored. Not that I didn't know you guys were amazing, but it was great seeing you guys take on this professional role, and just fully committing. And it's true, musicals can be very, very tiring. But you guys were fully invested. Singing, you both are incredible. Um,
Oh, thank you.
and yeah, I don't think they made a mistake at all because Magenta, her singing needs to be where your singing is.
I Okay, but here's the thing. I look back at that show and I'm like, how did I do that? I don't know, because I don't it took so much vocal work that I did on my own at home to get to hit those notes and belting. That I don't even know if I could do it now unless I worked on it for a while. But I find there was also a lot of pressure because you said like it's a cult classic and people come to the show to be like, "I am a super fan of this show. I love Rocky. You better work." And so there was a lot of pressure to live up to the expectations of the character. But I think honestly, if you just a lot of the characters in that show, you just gotta go for it and not hide anything, and that's what makes them great.
They're very exposing, to say it lightly, and it definitely fits for the musical itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. The amount of people that showed up in full costume
Uh-huh.
that know all the lines, but yeah, it was definitely great, and I wish they were doing it this year.
I know.
But
I
unfortunately, they
think
can't.
I've heard a little. They say they might be planning something, but I don't know what. So
Now I'm excited.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
they do.
well, hopefully, yeah. Because I know they do it every year,
Every year,
same
and it's
time.
such a big thing to help keep the main line open and help keep the main line doing all the amazing things they do. So honestly, it's COVID's really kicking all of us in the butt, but
Mm,
you make do with what you got.
yeah. Hopefully, COVID ends soon, guys,
I hope so.
because the amount of stuff that's going to be coming out post-COVID is going to be fun to see. Let's just put it that way, because we're going to have a lot more people writing during this time. We're going to have a lot more people doing things during this time, which goes to the next question for you. But if you want to comment on that, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So how exactly do you get into songwriting? How exactly do you come into something that you want to write about?
Well, I like to say I'm a Taylor Swift writer. So, unfortunately, most of my songs are written about experiences or other people's experiences who have confided in me and I have reached out to and been like, "Hey, do you mind if I write about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, I mean, if you're not saying my name, then why not?" But yeah, so I do write based off experience, and that's why I don't like how people give her so much flack for that, because when you write off of experience, chances are a lot of other people are experiencing stuff like that too. And that's how it started for me. I went through like my first big heartbreak and I was like, I'm going to write a song. And it's so bad. It was so bad. But I was like, I want to take my singing to the next level. So I tried it. And then over time, I'd like to think my writing got much better. But I don't know. It's such a weird thing to say to get into. I know a lot of like poets or people who like to write who get into it. But I just feel like it's something that came naturally to me. Like I had the idea in my head. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this leather journal, which is why my album is called Leather Bound, because I write all my music in leather bound notebooks. Um, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And if it's crap, it's crap. But and eventually it wasn't. And that's how I just got into it and I love it.
I really love that tidbit, leather bound. I never knew
Yep.
that,
Yep.
but that's great. And yeah, it's true about Taylor Swift. I mean, I get why some people. I don't get why some people are so aggressive towards it.
I mean,
Um,
I think it's because with her, she's so in the spotlight and she's so famous that
I
like
guess.
anybody that comes into her life, if
Hmm.
she writes a song about them, people are gonna know exactly who it is.
But it's more human, I find. You know what I
Yes.
mean? To write about your experience, to
Hmm.
just allow whatever comes out, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
be portrayed. And I guess with that being said, that's probably what comes into your writing. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
something happens and then I have this idea and then that furthers this idea. You know what I mean? And if,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I, what did I release a little preview? Or no, on my Instagram, I have a video of me singing a song that I'm going to be releasing soon called, I don't remember what it's called, to be honest. um,
The one you
but
just posted, no?
the one that I posted recently, yeah, it's in my Instagram videos. I have it right here. Oh, Crisis. I wrote that right before I came to Vancouver, because I was like, like life just can I just have fun and not worry about so much stress and all the responsibilities? And I know that's not life and you have to think about your responsibilities and stuff, but sometimes you just want to kick back and not have someone tell you that you're lazy or you're reckless or like you're not caring about your life, because you do care about your life. You just want to relax a little bit. And when I released that, I was just very much in that place. I was like, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, but I would like to have fun before I go do it. And I had some people in my life who were just constantly hounding me about stuff. And so I wrote that. And then as soon as I put it on Instagram, I had so many people message me and be like, I feel that. I feel that so hard. I relate to this so hard. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I love writing, is because I love connecting with people on a like relatable experience level. I just find it makes music so much more compelling.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like for sure. I mean, a lot of people, everyone, I feel, listens to music at some point, whether it be studying or whether it be just for pleasure in general. But it's true. I find maybe it's the fact that I'm an actor. I don't know, but I really like either something that tells a story, and for sure I can tell you, yours tell a story. And I feel like that might also be partially because you're an actress. It's a possibility.
I think so too, to be honest.
Where you want to keep telling a story, you know what I mean?
Yeah, ultimately actors are storytellers.
Exactly. So,
yeah, for sure. I think it's the same with music. You're telling a story, but just in a different form.
Yeah. It's very fascinating, and we can talk about that for so long. Exactly. Unfortunately, I have two more questions for you, but songwriting. How do you, or what would you say to people that might want to just start writing their own music?
Just keep writing. The first thing you write is probably going to be garbage, but just keep writing and be honest. And you know, some people are like, oh, but this doesn't rhyme. If you listen to a lot of music, it doesn't always rhyme. Ultimately, it's the words and what you put into it and the honesty, I find, that makes writing so compelling. And yeah, just keep writing. That's the one thing I have of advice, because you're going to beat yourself up for the first couple things that you write, because they're not going to be good, probably, unless you're amazing writer already. Then you're like, this is amazing. But for me, that was just, I just kept writing. And you might get discouraged, but it's like anything. You just got to keep going if it's something you really want to do.
Yeah. And it's true. Like we were just talking about, it could be just something that sparks. I would just say continue, because eventually it might become something that you love. You know what I mean? Just continue going.
Yeah, and don't at first, don't be so concerned about what other people think. Like, it is a huge stress wondering, oh, will people like it? Will people listen to it? No. But getting other people's opinions is great. I always get like my family's opinion or friends' opinions and stuff. But I ask them to be honest with me, because if you go to the wrong people, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that was so good. I'll be like, that was garbage. But thank you for the encouragement. But don't worry so much. I think that's all I would say. Don't be so concerned about what other people will think, because you'll never release anything if that's all you're thinking about. Exactly. So just keep writing.
You can't please everybody, guys, but you can definitely please yourself by continuing it.
Yes.
So before I hop into the last question, I'm going to say who's coming on next week. So next week, we'll be having Amber Jonas join us.
Yes.
We're going to talk all things Hairspray, all things her time at Abbott, and beyond. So it's going to be a great time, guys, in episode 15 with Amber Jonas. Yes. The amount of people that I keep contacting, and it just keeps lining up, I'm loving it.
It's amazing. I've watched like most of, if not all of them, and I love it because I'm like, yay, I know most of these people, but there's so many answers that I'm like, I love hearing different people's points of views on things and experiences. So it's great. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. So we're actually going to hop back into Abbott and theater for our last question, because it is a little Thespian podcast. Yes. So we're going to hop into what exactly, or what role would you say has challenged you the most? And what role has been the most rewarding for you?
I think Elizabeth was the most challenging. It was definitely, just the most challenging one. So many complex emotions, such a different time period, such a different form of humor and love and romance and connecting with someone so strongly, but hating them at the same time. So that was definitely the most challenging one. And then the other one was the most rewarding.
Yeah.
Gosh. I would say, I don't know, because,
I know it's hard. I ask everyone this question, and I give them like a couple seconds to actually process because
yeah, because I'm like,
it's crazy. All of them are
I,
great this way.
yeah, like I got something out of everything, but I think, gosh, it's so hard. Because Elizabeth was super rewarding, finally figuring out everything and working through the challenges. But Septimus was just so, I had such an easy time with him, which is why it wasn't challenging. It was so easy, but it was so rewarding because I know that I'll never get to play a role like that again, I guess. Yes, that's my answer. Septimus is the most rewarding, and Elizabeth was definitely the most challenging.
Yeah, no, both of them are just so rewarding too because, like we were saying, it might not be something you get to do again for Septimus, but it probably was a bit more organic to hop into Septimus than it was Elizabeth, trying to deal with everything that was going on during that entire play. Yeah.
Also, a shout out to Andy Cook. Decalogue was amazing. I got so much out of Decalogue. I can't say a specific character because
we
played a bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
But so rewarding in just the style and getting to experience that style of theater.
I've talked to many people and they say that's their favorite play they've went to go see. Mainly
Really?
Yeah. And I feel like the reason why it was so different than anything people could have seen during the time, I'm guessing, because it's true. The lighting, the design
The
of that
set,
show,
the costumes, the everything.
and somehow we stayed white the entire time, guys. I don't know how.
I still have mine at home.
Like, I still don't know how that happened. I was talking to Etienne, Alexa, and Andy all about it. And they basically said that we knew they were scrubbing for hours, and I felt so sorry for them.
I felt so bad.
But yeah, just scrubbing for that long, and somehow everything was white, and everything was just incredible every time we put on that show. And it was 6 shows, I want to say.
I think we did 6 or 7.
Yeah.
6 probably. I don't remember.
But yeah, incredible.
Yeah, and it was so different, and the experience of creating it all together, and like Andy's direction was phenomenal, and his vision of it all was amazing, and the crew and everyone working together just meshed so well to create such an interesting production. And I feel like you go to Abbott usually to see a play that makes sense. And just being honest, this play to a lot of people didn't make sense.
I needed to explain a lot.
Yeah, I had to tell my parents. My dad was like, I don't get this. And I was like, okay, well, if you do this, da, 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 da. But when you go out into Montreal theater, a lot of the independent theater you watch, you're like, hang on, what's happening? And because a lot of people have different abstract visions on things. So I think introducing that kind of style into Abbott was a really cool thing.
And also playing in the round completely.
In the round, it was so cool.
Like, I feel like that was also probably amazing for them too, because one, they're on stage with us, which never happens at Abbott. So that must have been different as well. But
for sure.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that is our time for this episode. It is very sad. I wish I can continue for hours upon end. But thank you so much, Erin, for being on.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, I love this. I love what you're doing. Like I said, I love this whole podcast. So it was an honor to be on.
And I wish I can see you. Unfortunately, you are in Vancouver. I'm in Montreal.
Yes.
And we are dealing with COVID during this time. But it's been great seeing you. And I'm so glad that everything's going well. I'm not surprised in regards to acting and singing. Like I said, it's incredible what you do, and now it's time to
Thank
shine a
you.
light. So you're welcome.
Thank you. I hope you're doing well too, despite everything.
Yeah, I'm trying in
Same,
Montreal,
same.
but my God, guys, we need to really get our stuff together. I'm
Be
not gonna
safe.
swear there, but yes. So yeah, shine a light on Erin, guys. I've said it. She's incredible at what she does, both in acting, singing, songwriting, and beyond. I cannot wait to see what happens with film with her, because I know I've seen her act in film. So before learning stuff at Vancouver Film School, I cannot wait, and I know it's going to be super bright, and I cannot wait to see what your future holds,
You.
Erin. It's inspiring. You need to continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
honestly, like, it means a lot. It means the world. The support means everything to me. And like I said, keep doing this because in such a crazy time, it's so nice to just watch people talk about their experiences. And I'm sure for you as well, like having someone, like people to talk to and people to question and do this whole like thing. It's great. Keep doing it.
Thank you. And just taking an hour out of the day and talking to someone just about stuff you love, it's always rewarding. And I'm going to continue doing it until I literally have no more guests left, which is almost impossible. um, I cannot wait to see what your future holds, Erin. And hopefully we get to see each other soon, not over
Yes,
a Zoom
there will
call.
be a reunion probably at some point.
But I'm looking forward to that. And thank you so much for being on this episode. And I'll see you soon, okay?
Yeah, see you soon. Thank you again.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So next episode, we talk to Amber Jonas on episode 15 of the Thespian podcast. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you all on the next one. Bye, Erin.
Bye.
Bye. The lights are off. The curtain has fallen. And it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us on the Little Thespian podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask, either down below or on any of our platforms. On the next episode of the Little Thespian podcast, we talk to the amazingly talented, gifted actress, singer, dancer, and all-around great person, Amber Jonas. It's going to be a great time. I truly cannot wait to talk to Amber. All things acting, all things theater, all things musical theater, and beyond. It's going to be a great time with a great guest on episode 15 of the Little Thespian podcast. I truly cannot believe that we have been doing this for 15 episodes, guys, and we are going to continue doing it for you guys. I am starstruck that it's continued this long, and I truly cannot wait to have many more amazing guests on, like Amber, coming on episode 15 of the Little Thespian podcast. Thank you, Erin, for being on all the way from Vancouver, Canada. It was a great time talking to you and seeing you. And I cannot wait to see what your future holds from your time in Vancouver. I know it's going to be super, super bright. And with that being said, guys, always shine bright. We thank you guys for watching this episode. And if you guys want to show us some love, all you need to do is like this video, comment on this video, let us know your thoughts, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. It definitely helps us out, guys. And with that being said, guys, hopefully you shine bright. Hopefully you have an amazing Thanksgiving. I know I'm truly thankful for you guys, and I truly cannot wait to see where the Little Thespian podcast goes from here. So, with that being said, guys, this has been your host, Matthew Crandall, and I will see you all on the next Little Thespian podcast.